Justin, anybody? Justin? Justin, the start of this presentation is a commercial, and the reason we're talking about Slow Scan TV now is that next Sunday, January 20th, is a lunar eclipse. Anybody know what lunar means? Moon. Anybody know what eclipse means? It means it goes dark. I don't know what that means. It's German for something else. So the idea is we're going to have this. We've scheduled with the astronomy people to put that next Sundays for our benefit. They're going to have the astronomy folks are going to meet at the Sam Noble Museum down on the south side of town, and they always have telescopes put up. They have all kinds of information available. They have people to help you with those. What Peter Core is doing, who is one of our great members, who is jetting his way back from Singapore at this very moment, he will put on his telescope that has a chip, a camera chip into it, and then he will be able to broadcast or transmit some of those images over Slow Scan TV, and we're going to do that on 146.88 next Sunday. So we've done this for a test in the past. I'm sure Justin will talk about his events, his pieces on how he's played with that in the past. But the big thing is, before you tune out, used to be, how much was your robot, Peter, that you bought 100 years ago? 400? Robot, didn't you get a robot Slow Scan TV? Did you have one of those? Robot? Oh, I thought you had one. Robot Slow Scan TVs used to be $1,400, somewhere in that range, to get those devices. Now, anybody that's got a phone in their pocket has a robot device already in the pocket. We'll talk about those. So if you've got an Android phone, an iPhone, or any computer of any type, they've got free software and it's easy to get into. We'll actually demo some of that today. I'm sorry. iPads? Yep, that would be an iOS. Yep, iPads will work. Anything that takes the sound in and makes it happen. You don't need any special interfaces. I literally take mine and put it up next to the speaker and it will decode that all off of the air. So the technology is now in your pocket. We're going to talk about how you make that happen. So that's the thing for Sunday. You ready? Did you get your stuff going? You got the speed? Here you go. Stick it in. Justin is our stud on Slow Scan TV. By stud, it means he's done it one more time than I have. Something. Justin, time.
All right. First, if I could just take a minute, all the stuff Michelle talked about, I know it's heavy. It's probably not the most exciting thing, but I got into ham radio in the 80s. I grew up between Lawton and Duncan. I lived a half a mile inside Stevens County. All my friends lived in Comanche County. It was long distance, and we didn't have cell phones. That was before cell phones. So we all got into ham radio so we could talk to each other. Anyway, I went to college, got out of ham radio for about 23 or 24 years. And then a few years ago, got back into it. And a couple of guys were in the volunteer fire department together. They told me about it, about both things. It's a great way, it's a cheap way to get into it. So I grabbed a radio, and I was really disappointed because I didn't hear anything. I mean, nothing. And then just kind of as a last ditch thing, I thought, well, I'll tune into this repeater in Norman. And man, it was hopping. Busier than all the metro repeaters put together. And so, what's that?
That's what we hear.
Yeah, so, and I drive back and forth to Oklahoma City to work every day. So at the time I got off work around midnight, so I drive home and I would talk to Harold and Jeff on the radio. Yeah, a lot of nights. And anyway.
Many nights, guys.
Yeah, so finally.
We're the only ones up at that time.
Yeah, so Harold told me, hey, come to a meeting, we'll get you a radio if you join the club. So I did that, and anyway, since then, I'm usually working on Tuesday nights, but I took off early and met to an Elmer night. Had breakfast with Bill and whoever else is there, and gone to field day. Anyway, all that stuff we just talked about, that results in our club growing. Because when I started, we did good to get 50 people here, and now we hardly ever have less than 50 people here. there, and it's only been a few years, so. Anyway, all that stuff we do does have a good ending, because it brings people to the club and gets people interested in the hobby like me, because I was ready to give up on it, so. Anyway, there's no charge for that commercial.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah. So Soul Skin TV, yes, people still use it. Mark, we were talking on the radio, end of November, I think, and he volunteered me to come do this because Pete was going to be busy. So, what is Soul Skin TV? There's an explanation that came from Wikipedia. The easy version is you take a photograph and your phone or your computer or whatever device you're using breaks it up kind of like a fax machine. It sounds a lot like a fax machine. It's transmitted over your radio, and the receiving phone or computer or radio puts all the little noises back together and comes up with an image. That's a little more technical. But anyway, how do we do it? There's phone apps, which we'll talk about, computers, any kind of computer can do it, and maybe magic. So the first time I did it, I had an iPhone, and that is the app I used. And did we talk about maybe downloading these today?
If anybody has them, they can go ahead and download them as they want.
Yeah, if you want to download that at some point, we talked about maybe sending an image out. So
Over the PA system?
Over the PA system, just to do it if you're interested. Anyway, I use that. Pretty straightforward, easy to use. And then about 6 months ago, I switched and got an Android phone. And I downloaded this the other night after talking to Mark. I heard Peter has used it and had good success. Other Peter. Peter Core, okay. Anyway, it's called Robot 36, and I played with it a little bit. It seemed pretty straightforward to use too.
Both of them are free, correct?
Yes, both of them are free, no charge. And then computer-wise, for Windows, and I don't know if there's a Mac version of this, SSTV. And these are just one example. There's several Apple apps, there's several Android apps, and there's several computer programs you can use, but this is free as well. And it's called SSTV, and this is a screenshot from their website. If you have a computer, you have to have some kind of hardware, whether it be a radio itself or receiving hardware. And this is an SDR Play, and I just put stuff I was familiar with. I have actually this model. They have several different models. This is kind of middle of the road, middle of the budget model. I think it's about $160 maybe. It was a gift, so I'm not 100% sure. And this is kind of, and there's several of these more in-depth receiving units. There's, I think, Hack RF has a real nice one. I think Jorge has one of those.
There's a bunch of knockoffs of all this stuff.
A bunch of knockoffs. eBay has them, a lot of them. And then, and I would compare this to like high-end transceiver. Then the next one is a RTL SDR dongle, and I have one of these as well. It's in this little box. Though that model right there I looked a while ago is $21.95 on Amazon. And if you purchase with Amazon Smile, of course it goes to your club. If you pay $29.95, not only do you get the dongle, but you get a little tripod, a couple antennas, coax, little suction cup mount. It's all very portable. We can pass that around.
Sure. Like this is gonna make it back. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. And
The box will make it back.
Or you can use both ends.
or you can use the both things. Yeah. So just a little. These are cheap, easy to use. You can take them with you. You just plug them in the USB port of your computer. I work in a hospital, and sometimes on the weekend when we're not that busy, I set that up in my office, plugged it in my laptop, and I heard all kinds of stuff. So they're fun to play with. It's real cheap to get into them. And you can do a lot more than just slow scan TV. You'll need software for both of these. For the SDR Play, the software is SDR Uno. And for the dongle, the RTL SDR dongle, there's several.
GNU radio.
GNU radio.
And adapters.
And it free, yeah, free.
Free. All this stuff's free. I'm trying to remember what I have on my laptop.
HDS or
Sharp.
Sharp.
SDR Sharp. SDR Sharp. And then there's tons of plugins you can put on those. You plug into that software that will allow you to do slow scan TV or whatever you want to do. You can decode DMR, all kinds of crazy stuff. So we got receiving hardware. What else do we need? We need antennas. There's several ways to do this. Arrow antennas, that's what they look like put together. This is what they look like not put together. These work really good if you're decoding a signal from the space station. It flies over. The first time I did this, I got together with a buddy of mine, fire department, and he had his arrow antenna mounted on a tripod. We had a bow thing. I held my phone next to it. People probably wondered what was he doing, putting an antenna at the sky in the middle of the day. It was clumsy, it didn't work very good. We kind of got about half of a picture. He finally took it off the tripod and it worked much better. I've seen guys on YouTube use tripods and pick up great images. So there's apps you can get for your phone that talk about, that show you on the space station, it shows you the azimuth and altitude. You just follow it right across the sky using your phone. And then also, next slide, the tape measure Yagi antenna, the SCAR Special. That's what it looks like assembled. This is what it looks like disassembled.
Come to Elmer night, we'll have to put it together.
Yeah. And they're, how much?
$10.
$10. You can't beat that. So, and they work great. And that is Victor, I believe. Whatever he talked about. Tape measure Yagis. Same principle, you just point it at whatever, wherever your signal's coming from, whether it be a sky or a repeater or whatever. Discount antennas. Now, this is the model of, again, the model discount antenna I have. It's a MFJ. So my experience with the space station, when they send out images, and they do it every April for Cosmonaut Day, so that's right around the corner. But when it's a real high pass that goes pretty much straight over, this tends to work fairly well. If it's kind of a lower pass, a vertical antenna seems to work better than this. And they'll both work great if it's Peter on the repeater doing it. They work great. You just don't have to have a lot of, there's very little expense to get into this. Next antenna, I think it's just a vertical. Yeah. So, like I said, low, when it's low in the sky, that works great. Then there's a QFH antenna, quadrifilar helix, I believe.
Quadrifilar helicoidal.
Helicoidal. And Mark, you're way more familiar with it.
Oh, yeah. I've got one of these. It's in my car, and it didn't make the transfer this morning. This antenna handles circular polarization. All of the antenna stuff coming from space is a circularly polarized signal, and these will give you a better signal, and they are also set up for 180-degree worth of reception. So it is horizon to horizon. It's pretty much flat, so you lose about 3 dB at the horizon, somewhere in that range to make them. I've done some 3D printing of these, PVC pipe 3D printing in the center pieces, and literally it's 3 pieces of PVC and a little cross piece. You can build whatever you want. They're all over the web. QFH is how you look for them. And then you use coax, like RG6 coax, instead of the pipe. They show a copper pipe there. but you can use it with coax, RG6 coax, and get a really good signal on it. About 15 foot of coax, about 15 foot of PVC pipe, and a couple connectors in the middle to make them go set up. We'll have one Tuesday night at Elmer Night, so you can take a look at how they actually work. You can transmit on them, but they're mainly made for reception. They work on 145, which is the space shuttle frequency, and the 137.5, which is the weather frequencies. They will get both the combination of the vertical, which gets the horizons, and the disc cone, which gets the overhead stuff. So if you want to do it at big time, that's the little thing to put together.
Okay, and last but not least, a rubber ducky antenna will work. When the space station flies over, and again, people are gonna think you're looking kind of nuts, but you twist your radio every which way till you kind of can hear a good signal. And frequencies. There's a lot listed. I got this off of Wikipedia as well, but probably the ones I use the most, the space station at 145.8. And every now and then you'll hear Peter at 146.88, the repeater. And then 20 meters, let's see, 14.230 normally. And not to say that you won't hear it on the other places, that to me seems the most common. I don't know if anybody's heard different, but
230 is usually got something going on all the time.
yeah, 14.230. Pretty often here, folks. And there's all kinds of interesting pictures people send. So sometimes it's a dog, a cat, a girlfriend, a car.
Mickey
You know.
Mouse.
What's that?
Mickey Mouse.
Mickey Mouse. So the formats. Now this is a little more on the technical side, but there's different kinds of formats, and I don't know. You know, the cool thing about the apps and the computer programs is you just click the auto button, and it figures out which format it's in. So I didn't know a lot about the specific formats. Mark and I were talking the other night, and he explained to me that when you see robot 24, it's going to take 24 seconds for the image. Or if you see, you know, Martin into, it's going to take 58 seconds. And then how many lines, the color, there's all kinds of different ones. The longer it takes, the better the picture will be, just because there's more data sent.
And the space station usually about 150 seconds. They're usually 150.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's,
So they're longer.
they're longer. It seems like usually when the space station goes over, I get about 2 or 2.5 pictures a pass. It just depends on where it's at in their cycle when they come over the horizon. Sometimes they're midway through a picture, so you gotta wait, and then there's a pause where you don't hear anything, and then you start hearing it again. So what do you need to get started? Well, you need to join SCARS and get your Bofang. And a smartphone. And probably most people have smartphones. I know some folks don't. If you don't, I have bought smartphones just to play with off of Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, usually 20, 25 bucks. There's always somebody that has a pay-as-you-go phone that got a different phone and has them for sale. Dollar General has them on sale every now and then. They're pretty reasonable. They're also really handy for using APRS. If you play with that, you can hook it up to your Baofeng. Have a very inexpensive APRS transmitter. And then just some images. These are ones I've downloaded. That was from, I think that was in the summer. They did a thing celebrating NASA. I think that was, yeah, NASA on the Air. And if you ever listen to HF, you hear these NASA on the Air stations. A lot of times they're at the facilities, and they have contests who can contact the most. But anyway, I think the space station was celebrating that. And then the other one, same deal. Looks like they had a group of kids yeah, Innovation Challenge.
It's Eris.
Eris.
Amateur radio on space station.
Like I said, I think it's April, I'm almost positive, is when they do Cosmonaut Day. And they usually, the Russians transmit down images of astronauts or big events in Russian space history. I don't think I'm put any of those on there, but they're out there. They'll probably send some down this April. And then last but not least, this is more of just a participation thing. It's not really an award. But you upload, every now and then they'll have a thing where you upload the images that you downloaded to a website, and then they'll email you a little certificate looking thingy. Just something kind of fun to play with. And then Peter, from time to time, he will take images on his telescope and transmit them. And I have heard him do it driving home from Oklahoma City. I've been going down I-40, opened the app on my phone, set it down by my radio, got home and had images. Still kept both hands on the wheel, watching the highway.
You didn't look over while you're driving, did you?
Yeah, I did. So, also, when the space station flew over one time, I was at work and I ran out up the concrete parking garage, but I drove up to the top of the garage, stuck my radio down by, or stuck my phone down by my radio, and got some really good pictures from the space station that way. And that's just with a vertical antenna that at the time was a mag mount on the top of a pickup. So it's not hard to do. It's not very technical. I mean, it can be, but you don't have to make it very technical if you don't want to. So.
We've got, I've got him, that's the information for Sunday. It said 10:20, I think it's 10 o'clock, I think it's, 10 o'clock is when it actually gets its peak. But this eclipse party starts at 8:36 local time, so I'd probably guess that you're gonna start seeing images somewhere about 8:30 or 9, somewhere in that range from Peter. Yeah, good Peter.
Man of mystery.
Peter, the international man of mystery. Peter Core. So he will be, I'm sorry, what was the question?
What frequency is he gonna be?
He'll be on 146.88 repeaters where he will be on those images. That way it puts some use onto that machine, and we've done it in the past, and it's got a great heat sink on that thing, so it just loves to make the pieces go through. Who downloaded an app? Anybody download an app today? Okay.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Do you have it up and running?
Yes.
Get it up and running. Now that Justin's not there, I know you didn't want
Question
to,
though, you said you had to be by the radio? What do you mean by when you said replace your
just to
phone?
hear it.
Okay.
It's audio. What Justin was doing was, he had his VHF radio turned to 146.88. He had the speaker of the radio play the tones, and the phone actually picked up those tones and turned them into an image as he was driving.
So that's that magic you were talking about?
That's the magic. It's audio kind of stuff. Yes, sir.
If you're doing that, does the magic filter out the muscle car you're idling next to? No, okay, all
Have your
right.
kid come in and yell something to them. You can see the green line across the middle of the photo.
Okay, nobody can tell this story because Peter's not here, and he won't be back until tomorrow. But Peter's problem, he used to transmit, he used to put the phone next to his microphone on his car, and he would transmit the audio through the radio. Peter couldn't stay quiet long enough to transmit the message. So it'd get about a quarter of the way through it, it'd get this green line.
I believe that.
And I drove over there one time and said, what the heck's going on? About a quarter of the way through, it gets, I don't know, here, let's watch it. Quarter of the way through, he started yelling, Peter, I can hear that on the radio. Don't do that anymore. So he's now got a direct wire where it doesn't have to do that. And more importantly, so he doesn't have to shut out. But yeah, if you see something happening Sunday and you see a green line, it's probably Peter talking. It's probably the right answer on that. But yeah, it's there. That's magic. It's audio. I've got one that's see, get my SSTV up and running. Anybody download SSTV while they're waiting?
I did Robot 36.
You did Robot 36, good. This is the SSTV application on a PC, and it makes you like a little TV station. Top left is gonna be your program monitor, so that's what's gonna send if you hit the send button. The top right is the decoding my audio that it hears. So you can see that went down when I shut up, and it goes up when I'm talking. The button, the Justin button, where's the auto button? See the very top one on the center here? It says transmit mode. This will let you pick the transmit mode that you want to set. When you're receiving, you'll listen on auto, and it will actually decode the correct technology. You don't have to be smart enough to go, oh, that's Robot 36 versus something else.
The send on that, is that what you're using, the SDR?
That's one way to send is you could send out through the SDR radio and actually transmit out through the SDR. This one's, if I hit send here, it's gonna put it out the audio.
Okay.
So we'll hear it.
Okay, so we're just doing it for internal to building right now?
Right.
Okay,
So
but if you were doing it and gonna send it out, you'd use your SDR dongle?
One way to do it is an SDR dongle. What Peter does is what I do is hook just an audio cable from the speaker jack of my computer to the mic jack of my Bofang radio, or whatever you got, and it will squirt it out that way.
The SDRs that I talked about only receive.
Okay.
Well, the HackRF,
Yeah,
the HackRF module is a transmitter. It will transmit 1 watt, up to 1 watt from 0 to 1 gig.
And the great thing about this program is at the space station, if you do it with the space station, it's going over in the middle of the night. You just turn it on, leave your radio on to go to bed, and when you wake up, you have pictures down at the bottom.
And that's where that picture in the top, the bottom left is, I had my phone set up next to the machine, and it actually just picked up that picture that my phone spit out. So let me just try, I'm gonna hit the send button. If you've got an app, put it on listen, and we'll see what we got. First, we'll probably have to do the audio, might be a little bit weird, so I've got it really low here, but let's try.
You say listen or just auto?
Anybody get a picture? No. You got something? You got something? Anybody get anything? He got some shadows of a picture. Didn't catch the decode, didn't do that kind of stuff.
So you're just saying that over the intercom?
This is just over the PA, right. If you saw that image, when I hit the transmit button, when you saw that image, it was sweeping down, I'll just hit it again. You'll see I'll just talk over it this time. See the little horizontal line that's coming down through the picture? That's what's being transmitted at that time, so you can listen to the tones change.
There's a little green man on the front door.
It showed up? Hey, look at you! And I talked over the first part of that, so I would expect you anyway.
Closer to the speaker.
Yeah, I was gonna say it must have, because there's what I got.
Yep, a little bit in there, but just not enough noise, not enough volume. What we do is you can come over here and chase it. Now, on that app,
On that app, you should see a send. Is there a process that you're seeing to send? TX, yeah, TX is the one that you want to look for. Transfer. Hit the TX button. And select image from roll. So just say select one of those images and pick one of those pictures. Make sure everybody's got clothes on. And then hit the TX button.
Does it save it somewhere?
It should save it on your phone.
In my images?
Microphone, put your microphone down there.
It saved it as a picture in my phone.
Yeah, that's a
Okay,
2-minute
that
one,
was
so
pretty good.
we'll stop. That's a 2-minute one extending, but that's the idea is your phone can turn into that transmitter if you're the one that's been playing. Did you get?
Oh, yeah.
Here, let me put the microphone to it, you can see it. No.
Oh, wait, sorry, what am I doing?
Did you, picture, did you see it? Oh, yeah! Look at that.
It just saved it as a picture. That was really cool too.
And it will do that if you leave it set up overnight, like if you're not gonna be around, Sunday night, you can turn your computer or phone on, just leave it laying next to the, radio, and it will have the picture stored. You'll get whatever shows up in these kind of things. If you want to try yours up against the speaker where it's quieter, up here, we can do that in a little bit, but anybody try to get this and fail? Yes, sir?
Yeah, I didn't do very good.
If you're an HF guy, you don't have a bow phone,
Yeah.
you can tune your HF rig to 14230, download MMSTV, and blaze away.
Yep. Yeah, 14230. If you're over there and you hear those tones, that's what the tones are, is slow scan TV. So you'll hear on 230, you'll hear it on space station stuff, and you'll also hear a lot of weather stuff on the 137.5.
A bunch of hams sending pictures of girls leaning on cars.
Bunch of hams, girls leaning on cars. It's better than cars leaning on girls, I guess is a better idea. But yeah, you can take whatever, you literally take a picture on this and shoot it across. Like I said, this image that you see down here, sorry about that. This image you see down here, I sent from my phone to the MMSSTV, and it just showed up in that piece. So you can take your own pictures, you can add to them, crop to them. You can see on the top, it automatically puts your location and your call sign on top of it to make that work. So you can.
Will you guys put it out on Facebook as well, because some of us are kind of old and can't remember those times?
Okay, we'll put it on Facebook to remind on Sunday
Yes.
to do that. That's a very good idea. That's a good idea.
Can you set the resolution?
You can set the resolution, but these are usually 320 by 160 limited pixels. So whatever you can send as a 320 by 160. There are some methods that take longer that will do bigger resolution. So those formats that Justin was talking about tells you how much data will be sent. So if you're doing.
Is that a SSTV limitation?
It's a limitation of each format. So each format defines, it's a definition thing. This format's going to be 320 by 160 and it's going to be this many colors.
But you can set each one by SSTV.
Right. You can send each, SSTV is the collection of all those. Okay, Facebook page, that's right. And, Facebook page is ISS International Space Station. We'll put this stuff all on the web. But ISS International Space Station fan group. There was a great site that was, the pictures I showed earlier all came from that group. They shut that down December 31st. After 17 years, just when we were going to show the demo, they shut it down. I think they were afraid of us tearing it apart. But it was ISS Fan Club, if you've ever been there before. I happened to get about 600 of the pictures downloaded before they shut it down on me. But those are all there. Anybody have any questions? Anybody have a problem getting the app up and running with what they're doing? come by here, and Justin and I will be happy to look at what you got if you've got a problem. But, I'm gonna say that's gonna be it for this piece, unless anybody else?